Amina poured the potion over Nia, watching her sister transform into a serpent and slither away free to finally make love to her boyfriend. In a peaceful village nestled at the edge of a vast and enchanted forest, two sisters, Nia and Amina, lived with their loving parents. Nia, the elder sister, was known for her beauty, kindness, and grace, while Amina, though equally beautiful, harbored jealousy and envy towards Nia. Their family was respected, and their bond appeared unbreakable. Nia and her boyfriend, Kwame, a brave and loyal young man, were deeply in love. Their relationship was the envy of many in the village, including Amina. Kwame was known for his generosity and strength, always helping those in need. One day, as Kwame and Nia walked hand in hand through the bustling village, laughter and love evident in their every gesture, Amina watched from the shadows of a nearby hut. Her eyes, once filled with sisterly affection, now burned with envy. Every smile they shared, every glance of adoration exchanged, felt like a dagger to her heart. Amina yearned for Kwame's affection, craving the warmth and attention that Nia so effortlessly received. As they passed by the market, vendors greeted them warmly, their admiration for the couple evident. Kwame with his strong protective presence, and Nia with her radiant beauty and kindness seemed like a perfect pair. Amina's mind raced with thoughts of what could be. She imagined herself in Nia's place, receiving Kwame's loving gaze, feeling his gentle touch. The fantasy consumed her, and with each passing moment, her jealousy grew more intense. Amina's thoughts turned dark as she observed Nia's happiness. The love between Kwame and Nia felt like a constant reminder of what she lacked. She began to entertain the idea that she could have Kwame for herself if only Nia were out of the picture. The seed of a sinister plan began to take root in her mind. Desperation clouded her judgment, and she resolved to do whatever it took to win Kwame's heart, even if it meant resorting to dark and forbidden magic. Desperate to win Kwame's heart, Amina decided to seek out the help of a mysterious and reclusive witch who lived deep within the enchanted forest. Amina had heard whispers of the witch's dark powers and feared the potential consequences, but her desire for Kwame overshadowed any hesitation. Amina, typically strong and resolute, felt a pang of vulnerability as she ventured into the dense, shadowy forest. Her mind raced with memories of her childhood with Nia. They had once been inseparable, sharing secrets and dreams. Yet here she was, about to betray her own sister. Guilt gnawed at her, but the thought of Kwame's love drove her onward. After hours of navigating through tangled roots and eerie silence, Amina finally reached a clearing where the witch's hut stood, shrouded in mist. The witch, an elderly woman with piercing eyes and an aura of ancient wisdom, greeted Amina with a knowing smile. "What brings you here, child?" the witch asked, her voice a blend of curiosity and menace. Amina hesitated, her resolve wavering momentarily. "I seek your help to win the love of a man who belongs to another," she confessed. The witch studied Amina intently before speaking. "The heart's desires often come with a heavy price. Are you prepared to pay it?" Desperation overshadowed Amina's fear. "Yes," she replied, her voice trembling but determined. The witch retrieved a small vial filled with a shimmering, iridescent liquid. "This potion will transform your sister into a serpent, a creature feared and reviled. She will become monstrous in the eyes of others, and her presence will drive them away." Amina's heart pounded. She imagined Nia's terror and the villagers' horror, yet she could not turn back. "What must I do?" she asked. The witch's gaze hardened. "Administer this potion while she sleeps. But remember, such dark magic is not without consequences. The bonds you break may never mend." Amina accepted the vial, feeling its cold surface against her skin. As she turned to leave, the witch spoke again. "Wait," she said, reaching into the folds of her cloak to produce another vial, this one filled with a deep crimson liquid. "This is a love potion. Once Nia is gone, use this to make Kwame fall in love with you. But be warned, love born from magic is fragile and can be broken." Amina's eyes widened as she took the second vial. "How do I use it?" she asked, her voice a whisper. The witch smiled, a sinister glint in her eyes. "Mix it with his drink. It will take effect immediately, making him see you as the object of his deepest affection. But remember, true love cannot be forced. This potion will cloud his mind, but it will not bind his heart forever." Amina nodded, clutching both vials tightly. As she left the hut and made her way back through the forest, the weight of her decision pressed heavily on her. She tried to convince herself that this was the only way to gain Kwame's love. As she navigated the forest, her thoughts were a whirlwind of what ifs and maybes. She imagined a future where Kwame loved her, where she was the center of his world, and where her envy no longer consumed her. Yet, the image of Nia's fearful eyes, as she transformed into a serpent, haunted her. Returning to the village, Amina hid the potions carefully, waiting for the perfect moment to execute her plan. The days that followed were filled with anxious anticipation, her heart pounding every time she saw Kwame or Nia. The bond she was about to break weighed heavily on her, but the lure of Kwame's affection was too powerful to resist. She was ready to cross a line she could never uncross, all for the chance to win his love. Amina, armed with the potion, waited for the right moment. She could barely contain her anticipation and excitement as she clutched the small vial. Finally, on a moonless night, she decided it was time. Nia slept peacefully in their shared room, her serene face illuminated by the faint glow of the lantern. Amina approached her sister's bedside, her heart pounding with a mixture of eagerness and resentment. For a moment, she paused, but not out of guilt. She relished the thought of finally ridding herself of her sister, whose presence she had come to detest. With a smug smile, she uncorked the vial, carefully poured the shimmering potion over Nia. The transformation was immediate and horrifying. Nia's body convulsed as she began to change, her limbs merging and elongating, her skin taking on the scales of a serpent. She awoke in agony, her eyes wide with terror and confusion. Amina watched with twisted satisfaction as her sister became a magnificent serpent, her once gentle eyes now reflecting a mix of fear and betrayal. Nia, now fully transformed, let out a heart-wrenching hiss and slithered away, disappearing into the darkness of the forest. Amina stood triumphant, a smirk playing on her lips. She knew there was no turning back, and she reveled in it. The next morning, Kwame arrived at Nia's village hall to check on her, as he did every day. He immediately sensed something was wrong when he found the door slightly ajar. Nia's side of the bed was cold and empty. Panic surged through him as he called her name and searched the hut. When he couldn't find her, he ran through the village, asking everyone if they had seen Nia. The villagers, puzzled and concerned, joined in the search, but there was no trace of her. Days turned into weeks. As Kwame's desperation grew, he tirelessly scoured the forest, calling out for Nia, braving the dangers of the dense, enchanted woods. He faced wild animals, treacherous terrain, and the constant fear of never finding her. Each day ended in heartbreak as he returned to the village empty-handed, his hope dwindling but never extinguished. The villagers watched his relentless search with heavy hearts, unable to comprehend what had happened to their beloved Nia. In his darkest moments, Kwame would find something of Nia's, a piece of clothing, a strand of hair, fueling his determination. His love for her was unwavering, a beacon that guided him through the darkest parts of the forest and the depths of his despair. As the search dragged on, Amina watched Kwame's anguish with a sense of satisfaction. She saw the toll it took on him, the weariness in his eyes, the desperation in his voice. She pretended to care, but inwardly she felt no remorse. Her desire for Kwame remained strong, and she seized the opportunity to be closer to him. One evening, as Kwame returned from another fruitless search, Amina approached him, feigning concern and offering comfort. "Kwame, I can't bear to see you like this. Let me help you," she said, her voice soft and soothing. Kwame looked at her, his eyes filled with pain. "I don't know what to do anymore, Amina. Nia is gone and I can't find her. Please help me," he pleaded, his voice breaking. Seizing the moment, Amina retrieved another potion given by the witch, this one designed to cast a spell of false love. She offered it to Kwame under the guise of a soothing drink to calm his nerves. "Here, drink this. It will help you find some peace," she said, watching as Kwame, exhausted and desperate, drank the potion. The effect was immediate. Kwame's eyes glazed over, and his expression softened. He looked at Amina with a newfound affection, the spell weaving its way into his heart and mind. "Amina, thank you for being here for me," he said, his voice now filled with a false warmth. Amina, now emboldened by the success of the love potion, tried to deepen their relationship quickly. She would cook his favorite meals, tell him stories to distract him from his sorrow, and even started wearing clothes that she knew Kwame liked. On the surface, everything seemed perfect, but Kwame couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Whenever they shared a meal, Kwame noticed how Amina's laughter seemed forced, lacking the genuine warmth he remembered from Nia. Amina's touch, meant to be comforting, felt cold and unfamiliar. Her attempts to reminisce about the past felt hollow, as if she were trying to recreate memories that never existed. The unease was particularly strong when they tried to be intimate. Amina would move closer to him, her eyes filled with an artificial affection, but Kwame felt a strange discomfort. Every time Amina tried to kiss him or hold his hand, his mind would drift to memories of Nia. He remembered the way Nia's eyes sparkled when she laughed, the warmth of her embrace, and the softness of her voice. These memories filled him with a sense of longing and confusion, clashing with the false feelings conjured by the potion. One evening, as Amina leaned in to kiss him, Kwame recoiled slightly, unable to go through with it. "What's wrong, Kwame?" Amina asked, a hint of frustration creeping into her voice. Kwame shook his head, trying to clear the fog of confusion. "I don't know, Amina. Every time I try to be close to you, something feels off. I keep thinking about Nia. I can't help it." Amina's eyes flashed with anger for a brief moment before she masked it with concern. "It's only natural to miss her, Kwame, but she's gone. We need to move on." Despite her words, the sense of unease only grew stronger for Kwame. He started having vivid dreams of Nia, dreams that felt more like memories. In these dreams, Nia would call out to him, her voice filled with desperation and sorrow. Each morning, he woke up with a heavy heart, the dreams lingering in his mind like a haunting melody. Kwame's friends and the villagers noticed the change in him. "Kwame, are you okay?" one of his friends asked one day. "You've been acting strange lately." Kwame sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I can't explain it. Ever since Nia disappeared, nothing feels right." Even being with Amina doesn't feel the same. It's like I'm living someone else's life. His friend nodded sympathetically. Maybe you need to take a break, clear your head. Sometimes stepping away can help you see things more clearly. The advice resonated with Kwame. He decided to spend more time alone, hoping to make sense of his emotions. He took long walks through the village and the surrounding forests, trying to piece together his fragmented memories and feelings. The more he tried to move forward with Amina, the more he felt pulled back by the invisible threads of his love for Nia. One day, while walking through a familiar path in the forest, Kwame stumbled upon a necklace lying on the ground. It was Nia's necklace, the one she had worn every day. As he picked it up, a rush of memories flooded his mind. He remembered the day he had given it to her, the way her face had lit up with joy. Tears welled up in his eyes as he clutched the necklace tightly. In that moment, Kwame's unease crystallized into a clear realization. The love he felt for Nia was real, enduring, and irreplaceable. No potion or spell could change that. He knew then that he had to uncover the truth about Nia's disappearance, no matter where it led him. The false affection he felt for Amina paled in comparison to the genuine love he had for Nia, and he was determined to find her, driven by the hope that their bond was strong enough to overcome any dark magic. Kwame set off into the forest, determined to follow every clue and face whatever dangers lay ahead. He navigated through the dense trees, the shadows growing longer as he ventured deeper. Each step was fueled by his love for Nia and the hope that he could break through the darkness that had consumed their lives. Venturing deeper into the forest, Kwame faced numerous trials and dangers. The dense underbrush clawed at his clothes and skin, and the eerie silence of the woods was broken only by the distant howls of unseen creatures. He encountered treacherous terrain where one misstep could lead to injury or worse. Despite these challenges, Kwame pressed on, driven by his love for Nia and the need to uncover the truth. As days turned into weeks, Kwame's journey became increasingly arduous. He fought off wild animals, navigated through dark, labyrinthine paths, and endured the relentless elements. His body grew weary, but his resolve never wavered. Each night, he clutched Nia's necklace, drawing strength from the memories of their time together. One evening, just as the last light of day faded, Kwame stumbled upon a clearing. In the center stood a small, dilapidated hut, shrouded in mist and surrounded by ancient, twisted trees. His heart pounded with a mixture of fear and hope as he approached the hut. He knew this had to be the witch's dwelling, the source of the dark magic that had torn his world apart. Summoning his courage, Kwame knocked on the creaking door. It swung open slowly, revealing the witch, an elderly woman with piercing eyes that seemed to see straight into his soul. She studied him intently, as if measuring the depth of his resolve. "What brings you here, child?" the witch asked, her voice a blend of curiosity and menace. Kwame took a deep breath, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "I've come to find the truth about Nia. I know she was transformed by dark magic, and I need to know how to break the spell." The witch's eyes softened slightly, and she beckoned him inside. The hut was filled with strange artifacts, jars of mysterious ingredients, and the flickering light of candles casting eerie shadows on the walls. Kwame felt a chill run down his spine, but remained focused on his goal. The witch sat him down and listened to his story, her expression unreadable. When he finished, she sighed deeply. "Your love for Naya is strong and true. It is rare to find such devotion in a world filled with envy and deceit." She reached for a small vial filled with a shimmering, iridescent liquid. "This is the antidote," she explained. "But be warned, it will only work if administered with true love and bravery. The bond between you and Nia must be strong enough to overcome the dark magic that binds her." Kwame nodded, accepting the vial with trembling hands. "I will do whatever it takes to save her," he vowed, his eyes burning with determination. The witch placed a hand on his shoulder, her gaze intense. "Remember, true love is not just about feelings, but about sacrifice and courage. You must face your deepest fears and confront the darkness within yourself to break the spell." With the antidote in hand, Kwame thanked the witch and left the hut, his heart heavy with the weight of the task ahead. He retraced his steps through the forest, determined to find Nia and restore her to her true form. The journey back seemed even more perilous, but Kwame's love for Nia gave him strength and purpose. As he approached the village, the moonlight illuminating his path, Kwame knew that the final confrontation awaited him. He would face the serpent that Nia had become, risking everything to save her and reclaim the love that had been stolen by jealousy and dark magic. As he entered the village square, he saw Amina speaking with a group of villagers, her face a mask of feigned concern. Taking a deep breath, Kwame stepped forward. "Amina," he called out, his voice strong and clear. The villagers turned to look at him, sensing the gravity of the moment. Amina's eyes widened with surprise and fear. "Kwame, what are you doing? Why you all?" Astoy asked, trying to maintain her composure. Kwame held the one who held up the vial of antidote. "This is the antidote to Nia's curse, he declared. "I went into the forest and found the witch who told me how to save her." Gasps of shock and murmurs spread through the crowd as the villagers processed his words. Amina's face twisted with panic and desperation. "No, you can't use that," she cried, her voice tinged with hysteria. The villagers exchanged confused glances, their suspicion growing. "Why not, Amina?" one of them asked. "If it can save Nia, we should try it," Amina stammered, trying to think of an excuse. "You don't understand. It could be dangerous. We don't know what will happen." Ignoring her protests, Kwame continued, "I trust the witch. She gave me this antidote to break the spell and save Nia." Amina, realizing her plan was unraveling, made a desperate attempt to grab the vial from Kwame. "You can't do this," she screamed, but the villagers moved to restrain her, now more suspicious than ever. "Let him try," one of the elders said firmly. "If this antidote can save Nia, we owe it to her to give it a chance." With Amina subdued and the villagers watching anxiously, Kwame didn't waste any more time. He ventured back into the forest, his heart pounding with anticipation and fear. He had to find Nia and administer the antidote before it was too late. After hours of searching, Kwame finally found Nia, still in her serpent form, near the spot where she had first disappeared. Her eyes, though filled with the ferocity of a serpent, also held a glimmer of recognition. Kwame approached her slowly, tears streaming down his face. "Nia," he whispered, his voice choked with emotion. "I know you're in there. I have the antidote. I'm here to bring you back." With trembling hands, he uncorked the vial and carefully administered the antidote, pouring the shimmering liquid over her scales. For a moment, nothing happened, and fear gripped Kwame's heart. But then, Nia's body began to convulse, and the transformation began. Scales turned back into soft skin, and her elongated body shortened, returning to its human form. Nia gasped as she regained her human senses, her eyes wide with relief and disbelief. She looked up at Wami, tears welling up in her eyes. "Wami," she whispered, her voice filled with gratitude and love. Wami pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly. Nia, I'm so sorry. I should have known something was wrong. I love you, and I will never let anything like this happen again. In a moment of sheer emotion and relief, Kwame kissed Nia passionately, sealing their love with a kiss that bridged the gap between their hearts. The villagers who had followed Kwame into the forest witnessed the miraculous transformation and the dramatic kiss. They cheered and celebrated, amazed by the power of true love and bravery. They surrounded Nia and Kwame, offering their support and apologies for not realizing the truth sooner. Nia, still in Kwame's arms, turned to the crowd, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "It was Amina," she said, causing the crowd to fall silent. "My own sister turned me into a snake out of jealousy. She wanted to take Kwame for herself." Gasps and murmurs of disbelief spread through the crowd. The realization of her treachery settled over the crowd like a dark cloud, and the villagers' expressions turned to one of anger and betrayal. Nia continued, her voice trembling as she recounted the ordeal. "I felt so helpless and terrified. I could see everything, hear everything, but I couldn't communicate. I was trapped in that form, and Amina took advantage of it to get closer to Kwame." Kwame, holding a weak Nia close to him, addressed the villagers. "Amina must face the consequences of her actions," he said, his voice firm. "But we need to make sure she understands the pain and suffering she has caused. We need to find a way to ensure that she can never harm anyone like this again." The villagers nodded in agreement, their anger tempered by a desire for justice. They began to discuss ways to deal with Amina's treachery, knowing that the punishment must fit the crime. Nia, leaning on Kwame for support, listened as the villagers voiced their ideas. "We can't let her get away with this," one villager said. "She needs to understand the gravity of what she's done." "Yes," another agreed. "But we must also make sure she can never use dark magic against anyone again." As the villagers continued to discuss, Kwame and Nia exchanged a glance, their love and determination shining through. They knew that the path ahead would be challenging, but together they were ready to face whatever came their way. As they left the forest and walked back to the villagers were deep in conversation about how to explain Amina's treachery to everyone. They knew the village would need to understand the full extent of her betrayal to ensure justice and prevent future harm. The entire village gathered in the square, the atmosphere heavy with a mixture of anger and disappointment. The elders, respected for their wisdom and fairness, listened intently as Kwame and Nia recounted the events that had unfolded, revealing Amina's treachery in detail. The head elder, a stoic man with a deep, resonant voice, finally spoke. "Amina, you have betrayed not only your sister, but also the trust of this entire village. Your actions have brought great sorrow and chaos upon us. For your wickedness, you shall be exiled from this village. You will leave at dawn and never return." Amina's face paled, and she trembled with fear and regret. She knew there was no escaping the judgment, and the reality of her situation began to sink in. As the villagers turned away from her, she felt the weight of their collective disappointment and anger. As dawn broke, Amina gathered her belongings, the few items she could carry, and walked through the village one last time. Her eyes met those of the villagers, who turned their backs on her, their expressions a mix of sorrow and anger. The path out of the village seemed longer than ever, each step heavy with the consequences of her actions. Just as she reached the edge of the forest, the witch appeared before her, materializing out of the morning mist. The witch's eyes blazed with fury, and her presence was imposing. "You have misused my magic and caused immense pain," the witch said, her voice echoing with ancient power. "For your actions, you shall suffer the same fate you imposed upon your sister." With a wave of her hand, the witch cast her spell. Amina felt an overwhelming surge of pain as her body began to contort and change. Her limbs fused, her skin turned to scales, and her screams of agony became hisses. She had become a serpent, condemned to live the rest of her life in the form she had cruelly forced upon Nia. Life began to return to normal, and the villagers, having witnessed the events, were moved by the power of true love and bravery. Nia and Kwami, their bond stronger than ever, became symbols of hope and resilience. They prepared to start their life together, filled with renewed purpose and the joy of being reunited. So ends the tale of jealous Amina, who turned her sister, Nia, into a serpent to steal her lover, Kwami. Nia's true love and bravery, aided by Kwame, broke the spell, revealing Amina's deceit. Amina faced her punishment while Nia and Kwame's love triumphed, bringing peace and harmony back to the village. Thank you for watching. I would love to hear your opinion in the comment section. And please, don't forget to subscribe and share this video.